Yo. Hey,
What's happening,
Cab
peeps?
family.
What up? What up?
It's Tyler Watts. It's Eli Pena. Anything for a bit sportscast. Almost world
This
famous.
way. He's over here on my screen.
Yeah,
But I'm pointing this way.
almost world famous. That's all right. We can shout out Emery too. When you put it the other direction.
Almost
Almost world famous, baby.
Speak it into existence then.
My allergies are bothering me a little bit today, so please excuse my tone.
Oh,
But
man.
you know, we're gonna power through. We got a little bit to talk about today. Cowboys 30 visit list is out. Pretty indicative of the direction we can go with some of our picks, especially those higher rounds. So we can go through that today. Look at some of the people that the Cowboys are bringing in, and see if we can't decode what's going to happen. At the start, because basically through the offseason right now, up to this point, we've of course talked at length about the moves that have been made, but basically we're now looking towards the draft, and this is really going to be where a decent portion of the team is shaped, as far as what the picks are, because some of these players are going to we're looking at some of these guys to come in and play and make an impact this year, that you're picking. So it's exciting to go through that list, talk about that together. We'll go through position group by position group, kind of break down who's there. Do we like them? Do we not? Do we want them? Do we not? Because of course our opinions are the only ones that matter. So we're going to play GM today and pick all those players, and tell you what to look out for. So how you feeling, Eli?
Oh man, I feel fantastic. This is when draft stuff really gets fun, right? We've got through the Senior Bowl, we've got through the Combine. Most of our major pro days are done now. Now we get the 30 visit list. Yeah, man, I'm ready to rock. I'm feeling good. We're less than a month away. Draft April 28th.
That's right.
Make sure y'all come and hang out with us, because I'm pretty sure we're going to do, we said the first round, right? We're going to do the first round live.
That's
whole
right.
thing, 1 to 32.
That's right.
1 to 32, baby. Come rock with us on Thursday evening.
I need some barbecue while we do it.
Ooh.
I just started thinking about
we might be just doing a show at your house.
Smoke that, yeah. I'm gonna smoke something that day. But let's get into it. One of the list is out here. We've got it pulled up. We won't put it on the screen or anything like that. But a lot of familiar names on this list as far as prospects and people we've been going through. First group that's listed up here are the wide receivers, and I think appropriately so. A lot of the noise has been, are we taking a wide receiver? What are we going to do with Amari Cooper? How are we going to replace the god Cedric Wilson?
Not the said god.
James Washington's been signed, and there's some good upside there. But one of the things that we had mentioned is that the James Washington signing looks good because of what could potentially be done in the draft, right? And him being a part of that receiver room, not really expecting, the world out of him, but just his part in filling in on this receiver room. Because the guys that are on this list, if they get drafted, they're starting. I'm pretty sure. So starting at the top of the list, I'll just read off these names here. We got 3 wide receivers. We got Drake London, big guy at USC, right? 6'5". With the first round projection on him. Traylon Burks, which is
my guy,
the hometown favorite, so to speak, right?
Guy.
That's Debo at the linebacker.
Yeah, right.
With a linebacker body,
right,
out of Arkansas. And then Chris Olave, right? Ohio State wide receiver, just extra silky. We, love the route running there. Really just no complaints about his game. But out of those 3 receivers there, any surprises that they're bringing those in on the list? What are we thinking when we see those names there?
I'm not surprised at the names that they're bringing in, right? I think that we've talked about this a lot. You've seen it a lot out there. The Cowboys are not going to be scared to take a wide receiver with their first pick if they like what's there. Yeah. Right. Especially if they get wiped out on interior O-line or something like that, which, we'll talk about that as well. I think for me, if we want to go like the surprise factor, right? is more so that there's no mid-round guys, right? There's no day 2 guys on that list. There's no
all day one.
There's no George Pickens from Georgia. There's no Sky Moore from Western Michigan. There's no Jalen Tolbert from South Alabama. Like, there's none of these guys out here, right? There's no John Mechie from Alabama. None of these
Jamison
guys.
Williams,
right. But Williams is gonna be first round, right? So I'm looking more like, why am I not getting any of these like second or third round guys? Because I personally think, right, that plan A is going to be to get an interior offensive lineman at pick 24.
Okay.
So that's the piece that's a little bit interesting to me, and we'll see. I don't know how many of these guys that could be in that mid round area are from Texas, because they still have their Dallas Day visits as well. So basically, they can bring anybody that's from Texas to visit them on their designated Dallas Day, right?
Gotcha.
So they don't have to be in that 30 visit list if they're from Texas. So maybe there will be more receivers that show up on that list. But yeah, I mean, I would love any of these 3 guys, right? These 3 are 3 of my top 5 wide receivers. So the only 2 missing from the list are Garrett Wilson and, like you said, Jamison Williams, right?
Yeah.
So I've got Treylon Burks as my number 2, then Drake London's my 4, Chris Olave is my number 5 wide receiver. Right.
Yeah, I think Drake London's interesting because you see him, some people really high on him, some people, kind of staying away, just because of the, in college football, when they get hurt, if they sit out the year, anything like that, it's kind of messing up this evaluation process, even if, it's not perfect in its own ways. It's Drake London's one of those guys that, had he played last year, maybe he's, much higher, on the list across the board. Just interesting there. And also the other part too, with him, you're kind of looking, I wonder if, we're London's a 6'5" outside receiver, right? Like,
but he played in the slot too.
He
played in the slot in USC.
He can.
He's a good route runner for a 6'4" wide receiver.
Yeah, I just wonder if they're looking at him as maybe the outside solution, and just having some flexibility too, but just as that outside solution, maybe shifting some other people, on the team, into better positions. So just interesting there. But I think you can definitely conclude that wide receiver is high on the board for the Cowboys. They like a couple guys, and they, like you said, they won't be afraid to pull the trigger on one of those players there.
Yeah, interesting to your point where you call it with Drake London there too, right? And if you look at the other 2, there's 3 different wide receivers. So like you don't know what they want to do at the wide receiver position, and maybe they don't know what they want to do at the wide receiver position yet. And they're not going to work any of these guys out, so you're not going to get them on the field with your quarterback or anything like that. That's not what these visits are for. This is getting to know the player better, looking over any medical questions that you may have. So maybe Drake London is a medical visit, right? Maybe that's a big component of that piece for him. But yeah, it's 3 different wide receivers, right? You've got the smooth route runner in Olave. You've got the, like you said, Deebo Samuel and AJ Brown's body in Treylon Burks. And then you've got the 6'4" outside guy that played inside and is a pretty fluid mover and route, good route runner for his size, in Drake London. So yeah, I think that the whole those 3 names in themselves are very interesting, right? Because they're 3 very different names, and they're 3 names that, you got to think if you want them, you're going to take them at 24. So
heard that.
Am I going to get my wish? Treylon Burks?
It's possible. It's possible. You had mentioned the conventional thought, I would say, with most of the fan bases, that interior offensive line is going to be that first pick. And you can see that on this list. There's 7 offensive linemen, right, that are coming in. 4 have that, round 1 or round 2 grade, right? Charles Cross, tackle, Bernard Raymond, tackle out of Central Michigan. Yep. Hadn't heard we hadn't talked about him a whole bunch.
Because I don't like him.
Right. And then Zion Johnson and Kenyan Green, those are the names that you hear associated with the Cowboys, heavily. Johnson being the guard with just unreal measurables, and then Kenyan Green, just the offensive line Swiss Army knife. Just plug him in, tell me where you want him to block, and he's going to do it.
O-line coach
That's
was working him out at center on his pro
yeah.
day.
So those 4 guys have that first, the first round, maybe early second round grade where when you're looking at 24, maybe, um, uh, obviously they're still mocked to us. A lot of those Jim Johnson and Green, picks there. They're also bringing in late in the later rounds, 2 centers, Cam Jurgens and Dawson Deaton. And then a tackle, Josh Ezudu. Sorry if I'm butchering his name. Undrafted free agent grades or 7th round grades on Joshua and Dawson, and Cam Jurgens, 4th, 5th round center out of Nebraska. So looking on the later end of those at the later end of the draft, maybe to supplement some of the offensive line. But let's look at those 4 first round guys, especially Johnson and Green. No real big surprise here, I guess. Like I said, Bernard Raymond, hadn't heard too much about him, hadn't read too much about him. What are we looking at there with bringing in those tackles and those guards?
Yeah, so like you said, I think, Kenyan Green, Zion Johnson, 2 guys that we've talked about a lot, guys you've been hearing a lot about. No surprise that those guys are both coming in. Zion Johnson, currently my offensive guard 1 and kind of my top pick. But if I was putting a bet on the pick at 24 right now today, I would say Kenyan Green is probably going to be that pick.
Yeah.
Cowboys love that position flex. He was great at every position.
Yeah.
I was watching Texas A&M's tight end today, Jalen Weidermeyer, and I kept watching Kenyan Green block the sophomore defensive end that's a monster out there in Alabama, because they were playing against Alabama. Kenyan Green's at left tackle, just beating the hell out of this defensive end. So yeah, Kenyan Green is a beast. But yeah, so I mean, we've talked about those guys a lot, right? No surprise to see them there. Wouldn't be surprised to see either one of those guys as that pick at 24.
I wonder with the tackles though, and maybe you were about to get to this. You see us taking a tackle at all there?
Okay, if Charles Cross is that guy, sure, let's boogie. Because Charles Cross should probably go like top 10 or 15.
That's what I was gonna say. I just don't expect him.
Yeah, that's
to be
weird.
There,
I'm
but
not 100% sure. Maybe media scouts are higher on him than actual NFL teams are, so they're thinking there's a chance he's there.
Okay.
I don't think Charles Cross is going to come within 10 picks of pick 24, honestly. But if he does, let's boogie. He's a better offensive lineman, when you just look from a prospect standpoint. And we know Tyron's getting old. We feel good about Terrence Steele, but like how good,
Right.
And is that a guy? I don't know, but is that a guy that could slot in as your left guard this year, take over at left tackle next year? Something like that, right? With Tyron Smith maybe being a cap casualty after this season. So yeah, if Charles Cross is there, let's boogie. Bernard Raymond, he's a weird dude. So he's actually a tight end converted to an offensive tackle.
Okay.
So he's got the athletic profile, right? Because he's used to playing another position. So he's athletic for his size. He moves well, but he's just so underdeveloped as a player. Right. Again, I think he switched to tackle like 2 or 3 years ago. Right. So he hasn't been playing tackle very long. Hasn't even been that size most of his life. Right.
Yeah.
Bernard Raymond, when I saw that's kind of the one like blinking, like scary red light. Right. That I saw when I was looking through this list. Cause I was like, oh God, I hope that, they don't take Bernard Raymond. Cause I just don't, he's not a first round pick to me. Right. It's really heavy projection. He could turn out to be a really good offensive tackle in the NFL, but I'll take one of those guards, and most certainly Charles Cross over him if it comes to that. And I know nothing about the other 3 players, so
yeah, me either.
Not even gonna pretend like I do.
It's just but you seeing the
you see how many guys, right?
I was gonna say you kind of get the idea, right? That on day 2, day 3, what we're looking at, and when you hear those names called and you're like, who is that? You start to look back and say, oh, they did bring him in. Maybe they liked. And, those are the preseason and training camp, stories that we'll follow. So just names to know so you can, follow through Oxnard and see if these guys make the team, things of that nature.
Not good. They take somebody other than Bernard Raymond.
Yeah. Yeah. Defensive line is the next group we got there. Only one first round projection with these, and I'll stress those are projections. But Jordan Davis is the guy that's there. And there's been, there's a decent amount of mocks that show Jordan Davis falling
I'll take
and
him at 24.
available at 24.
I'll take it. If I
You
don't
know,
have either one of those offensive linemen, and if they don't like one of the receivers there, I'll take him at
right,
24.
right. Maybe your receiver guy's gone. You feeling good about who's left. Johnson and Green are gone. Nobody else fell, that was unexpected. And you're staring Jordan Davis in the face. And we talked about, hey, snap restrictions, or not snap restrictions, just the play style, and maybe he's only on the field, a certain amount of plays. He has the raw tools to rush the passer, but can he get coached up that way? So I don't think anybody would be mad that we get Jordan Davis at 24.
Not after the way he tested at the combine,
right?
Because that just means I have to find a coach that can teach him how to rush the passer.
Right. And I think for me, what that signals more than anything is kind of what we talked about, is that a lot of the players that we would have preferred would have been gone already.
Right. I think I would agree with that sentiment.
So that's there. But looking down that list, couple of day 2, right? So you got second. Yeah, a lot of four players there, projected, most in the second round, some in the third, right? Majai Sanders, defensive end out of Cincinnati. DeMarvin Leal, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. Oh, all right. Very professional opinion there. Sam Williams, defensive end out of Ole Miss. That's the guy that
we might pick him.
Right.
I for that. And like if he falls to the third round and we didn't get somebody in the second round,
I think that's when you talk about what's the news, where how are we going to get that edge rush? How are we going to get that? I think the Cowboys are very much banking on, we're going to get one of these guys on day 2. Sam Williams is a guy that's been is that Dan Quinn that was working with him during the drills?
Yep.
There was another guy.
Well, he talked about how he talked to Jerry, right? They had a conversation at the combine. Sam Williams kind of been all over the place.
I was gonna say, I know Sam Williams has been linked on Twitter. Did I see Micah talking about a Penn State defensive end as well? Did I see that? He's not on this list. I just forget the guy's name.
Ebiketie? Is that who that is?
I'll have to have it. I have to make sure I have it next time.
Yeah, Arnold Ebiketie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
he's cold too. I like
him. The idea in general, even though his name is escaping me, the Cowboys are kind of signaling to us they feel good about the prospects of getting a guy and putting him in the rotation. They're believing in the rotation, the bodies, the amount of people they're going to throw out there, and the scheme of Dan Quinn to be able to generate the pass rush. Right, we're kind of trying to make up for what we don't have in raw talent anymore and ability with Randy Gregory. We're going to pull in 3 or 4 guys and scheme it up, right? Of course, spearheaded with Micah, right, and DeMarcus, but just the mix of guys after that. And then they've got a seventh round or undrafted free agent, David Aneni.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I know you're all watching. Defensive end out of Houston.
It's outside of the first 4 rounds. I don't lay any claim to those players. I don't know anything about them. So,
and again, here, really the idea,
it's a lot of players to watch, bro.
That's 3 edge, 3 interior. Cowboys are going to get some line help. It looks like it's going to be day 2. The list is telling me most of the focus is on day 2. They're going to go inside or outside, just depending on who's there. But I would suspect they want an edge rusher more. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think looking at your list, right, again, some interesting names there. Majai Sanders, that dude's 230 pounds. He's but he's 6'4", 6'5".
Okay.
So,
okay.
So he's a twitched up athlete, right? He's got good speed, good quickness, but that dude is a pure pass rusher. don't plan on him helping you in the run game at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sanders, for me, I've got like a 2-3 on him where,
Mm-hmm.
you probably would have to take him at 56, but probably wouldn't be super happy, rather him drop to 88 or whatever our third round pick is.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a guy, Majai Sanders, he's all right. He's cool. He is what he is. I like Sam Williams a lot. Super solid. Some people talking about him like he's a Randy Gregory starter kit type player. So he's got some of that quickness, some of that burst.
Yeah.
Fairly solid against the run game too. Yeah, I would venture to guess that you're probably right that edge would be the priority. Because yeah, you got a bunch of guys at DT, but like you have guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I guess you have guys now at edge, so they've kind of put themselves in a place where with keeping Dorrance Armstrong, bringing on Dante Fowler,
Yeah.
you got DeMarcus Lawrence, of course you have Micah, to mix in there. Like you can run out there with a full defensive line. They don't have to take a defensive lineman with their first 3 picks.
Yeah.
I think this visit list, to your point, is trending that, that's probably what they would like to do.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in a position that they don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, there's some guys on here. Marvin Leal, yeah, I said yuck. That was a dude that everybody was talking about as like a top 10 type player. He could play inside, he could play outside, he could be an edge, he could be the DT. And like the production just wasn't there this year, right? And I'm watching his tape, and he just is unimpressive inside and outside, right? Like I just don't see him beating blocks consistently. I don't see a plan. So yeah, he's kind of that second, third round grade. But then the way he tested too at the combine and everything, he's just like barely an average athlete, maybe a little bit less than average as an edge for sure, right? Like he's got to play inside if I draft him on my team. He can't be an edge. He doesn't have the athleticism to do it. So yeah, DeMarvin Leal, I guess that's a third round. You're okay with him there. But if it was me, I'll just let somebody else pick him, honestly.
Heard that. One of the other position groups that has been getting people excited in the Cowboys world with the draft is linebacker. Because obviously last year struck gold with Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
Jabril Cox is, you hear all the whispers of all the upside, right? And some of the things that we were asking Keanu Neal to do that he wasn't so great at, that J-Ron Curse came in and did unexpectedly great at, is what Jabril Cox is billed to do, right? Like that is the story there. So to have someone like him in that linebacking core healthy, getting snaps, getting opportunities, very exciting. Then you start thinking about some of the guys that could be added, and you start getting really excited about the linebacking core, what could be, right? Devin Lloyd. So there's a couple of people that are coming in. Devin Lloyd and Quay Walker, right, are going to be the names that you know, right? Devin Lloyd is the bigger, right? Because you see Lloyd and Dean kind of as those top linebackers.
Right.
Devin Lloyd being the larger of them. I've seen a couple of Twitter comparisons to him to Fred Warner, if you wanted to give him a pro comp. And Quay Walker, I mean, literally, if it says Georgia, just don't overthink it, right? Because they're kind of like in one of those windows where Alabama was or still is, but has been as well, where just draft the person, just draft them, right? Like, did they produce while they were at school? Maybe they were playing with 18 other all-star first round
Kobe
picks,
Dean
right?
pushing second round picks out of the way,
right? So
he's a supercomputer.
And again, the prospect here that's so exciting is the core that they're being plugged into. If Devin Lloyd or Quay Walker were the only linebacker or supposed to be the savior of the linebackers, then maybe you're less enamored with those picks. Either one of those getting paired up with Micah and Jabril, you start thinking about, and also having J-Ron there as well with that flexibility, you start really getting excited about the prospect of what Dan Quinn can cook up this year. And while I don't I think these will, in my opinion, these are picks of like these guys are here, not that they're hunting linebacker. I just think that there's so much talent there that you got to say, okay, these guys are probably gonna go, but if they're here, we gotta take a look at them. We gotta seriously consider bringing them in. What do you think about linebacker picks on that first day?
Day one,
or even day, or
say
sorry,
day one. I don't
day
think they'll
two.
do it.
Sorry,
right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm kind of wondering with Devin Lloyd.
First and second round. Sorry,
I'm kind of wondering with Devin Lloyd, is the sentiment starting to be that maybe he's not a first round pick? Because when this process started, Devin Lloyd was anywhere from 15 to 25,
like right outside the top 10, right?
Right,
Yeah,
15 to 25, 15 to 30, right, depending on where
Mm-hmm.
you looked.
Mm-hmm.
And then he runs like a 4.78 or whatever it was at the combine. So he's
Right.
not fast. He's not
Right.
super explosive, right? He didn't
Mhm.
test super well.
Mm-hmm.
But on tape, the dude looks good. He's good in pass coverage. He's good coming forward. He's a secure wrap-up tackler.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of wondering, I don't envision him getting to 56, but I also don't see the Cowboys taking him at 24. So is he a guy where we get to 24 and I feel pretty good about, 3, 4, 5 players on my board and somebody offers me another second round pick to trade back, and so I pick up another top 60 pick or something like that, right? And move back 3 or 4 picks and the other 2 guys go and Devin Lloyd is there, take him at pick 28 or something. But I picked up a second round pick so I can still go get my O lineman and my wide receiver both in the second round if I want to do so. So I can see maybe Devin Lloyd being that kind of guy that you're looking at. If the thought process is that he's going to slide a little bit. I don't see them. I think there's going to be too many other players on the board at 24.
That's
I don't think
what
you're going to get wiped out to the point to where Devin Lloyd is your best player on the board at 24. I can't imagine that happening.
It would be, I mean, I guess a nightmare scenario for us because all our guys would be gone.
Right.
But that's that scenario you described is kind of what I'm thinking with looking at that.
And
is that
Quay Walker is maybe there at 56. He'll be there at 24, but he's not a first round pick.
But
I think he goes before
to go 51.
But I think he's a top 50 guy
around there. Exactly.
So, I don't know that he's there at 56. He may be the third linebacker off the board behind Dean and Lloyd. And depending on what people think about Lloyd, he might be the second linebacker off the board.
I think the list here, right? Because I talked about Quay and Devin, but the other 2 names are projected to be undrafted free agents, Devin Harper and James Houston. I think that's, to me, I'm interpreting that from the Cowboys as there's a couple of people we like, and there may be scenarios, right? And if they're doing their due diligence, there should be scenarios where they really entertain a trade back. And I think these are players you start considering if you're trading back, or like you said, Quay Walker's there. You got who you wanted. Maybe another guy's gone off the board, and you're like, okay, this is just going to make my team better than X pick. Or hey, let's just bring in some guys that look good and see if they make the team, right? Because we feel good about Jabril, J-Ron, and Micah and what we could roll with, otherwise, right? So while they're not going to pass it, what they're telling me, they're not going to pass up some premium talent, but we're also not shaking up our first couple of picks too much to go get one of these linebackers.
Right. I think it's got to be kind of like you said, right? If they fall to me at a certain spot, then, let's go get them.
Yeah. Tight end is an interesting position because
no, it's not.
No?
Tight end is so boring, bro.
I just meant the interest of like what could, what we're looking at here. Why is it boring? Why are we not uninterested?
Because it sucks to watch tight end film.
Oh, okay.
They're freaking boring, bro.
Right. Okay. Got it. Okay.
I watched tight end film for like an hour today and I wanted to stab myself with a fork.
Tight end film is boring.
Yeah, man. I just have no interest in that. Just find a guy in the 3rd or 4th round and let's be done with it. Whatever.
That kind of feels like what we've always done too,
man,
right?
They're all the same.
If you look at all our draft picks based all the way back to it, and we kind of just in the middle of the draft, like, you're big and look like you can catch. Come on, right?
But that's what it is. All those guys are the same.
Right.
They're all the same.
So we've got, and these are projected 3rd and 4th, right? And then Jelani Woods is projected, 6th or 7th round.
I think he might go earlier than
but
that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but let's go ahead and slide him up a little bit. So you're looking at Ruckert out of Ohio State, Jalen out of A&M, Cade Otton, tight end out of Washington. I haven't read too much about him. And then Jelani Woods is who I'm most familiar with out of Virginia. I think what you said, I know I kind of, giving you a little bit of crap about it, but yeah, any one of these guys on that day.
Well, and
right?
it's weird, man, right? Because like on this list, like I agree with the way they have these guys ranked. Ruckert would be my first guy off of this list. He had like 25 catches for 250 yards at Ohio State last year.
Yeah.
Like again, when I'm like when you're just watching the player, it's like, man,
maybe
okay, you're watching to see if he'll block, you're watching to see how he runs routes, but you're not really getting to see him. Which a guy that kind of surprised me that's missing from this list that's in that same mix and is actually probably my tight end 1 right now is Trey McBride from Michigan State. Is that right? I think that's right. That dude actually was a 1,000-yard receiver this last year as a tight end. He was the best tight end in the country the last 2 years. So, that guy was kind of cool to watch because he scored touchdowns and stuff while I watched him play football.
Yeah.
Everybody else, Jalen Weidemeyer, I don't know if that's a 3rd-round pick anymore. You look at him on film, you probably think he's a 3rd or 4th-round pick, and then he goes to his pro day and runs a 5.03 40.
Yeah, he's been taking the hits for sure.
Yeah, like some teams will take him off their board, I promise. Like they just, no thanks, I won't take him.
Yeah.
And I might be one of those teams, to be honest, right? Because the NFL world that we live in today is separation. How do you separate when you run a 5-second 40, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you see him in film, he finds little pockets, right? But like, I could just bring Jason Witten out of retirement. He knows how to find a pocket in the
defense. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not a super big fan there. Cade Otton tested pretty similar to Ruckert. They got pretty similar profiles when you look at them, and similar from like a production. That's the word I was looking for, right? Like they both were 250, 300 receiving yards. I think Rucker's probably a little bit better blocker than Otton is. So you put him a little bit higher on there just because he can do a little bit more. You feel better with him in line, but whatever, bro. I got like 6 guys on the list that are just guys. You want a flyer that's going to be fun? Take Jelani Woods in the 5th or the 6th round because he's 6'7" and ran a 4.6. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know.
You want me to get excited about a guy? Give me Jelani Woods.
I don't know how much you can get excited, like you said, watching those guys on tape because I don't know that the college game is really showcasing tight end abilities, unless you're Kyle Pitts.
Right, or TJ Hawkinson.
Right.
Just that guy.
You just kind of, I hope that maybe we use those earlier picks for other positions. And like you said, take that Jelani Woods in the 5th round, or something like that. Because it's just all upside there.
Yeah, you got multiple 5th-round picks, right? And even if you went 4th round, okay. I'm not going to fight you on a 4th-round tight end.
Right.
Would not like to see them take one in the first 3 rounds. So
no.
Ruckert probably going to be gone by the time you get to your 4th-round pick. Weidemeyer might be, but who cares? Otton might still be there. Jelani Woods will definitely still be there. Give me the 6'7" dude in the 5th round that runs really fast, and let's just see what happens.
We'll see what happens, right? That's exactly. It sounds just like on we're doing our Madden drafts back in the day. Once you get past those first couple, I'm like, you're really tall,
right?
You're really fast,
right? This guy's tall, ran really fast. Let's go.
Let's do it. Speaking of just looking in the late rounds, there's 3 other guys on the list, all projected to be undrafted free agents: a safety, running back, and corner. Marquise Bell, safety out of Florida A&M, Malik Davis, running back out of Florida, and Deron Bland, corner out of Fresno State. Do you know any of these guys?
Nope, they get to come visit Jerry World. Good for them. Moving on.
Don't really know what's happening there. Again, these are going to be like, this is your Hard Knock storyline, guys. I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, those are going to be your end of the draft if you like them. You pick them, put them on the team, or undrafted free agents.
Maybe we go. Maybe I go Google some of these and watch some film, see if there's something available. Sure. But
I'm boycotting watching running backs this year. I don't know if I've proclaimed that or not. But
you haven't, but okay.
Yeah, the Cowboys refuse to play the best one on their team, so I'm just not going to watch any in the draft. So if we draft a running back this year, guys, I don't know him. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. And they probably still won't play over Zeke. So
yep.
All good there. Well, that's
$30 million running back this year, guys.
That's the 30 visit list there, right? We kind of talked in lockstep about draft plans, versus what that list is telling us. Anything we missed on draft planning wise, or anything we want to restate regarding that list and what the Cowboys are doing in those first 3 rounds of the draft?
Yeah, just a couple quick notes, right? The 30 visit, like we said at the top, is super important when it comes to draft for every team. But from the Cowboys, we said, Morris Claiborne, CeeDee Lamb, the only 2 players since 2006 that the Cowboys have drafted with their first pick that wasn't on that 30 visit list.
Okay.
Right? So only 2 players in 15 years, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you go back to 2006, the other guy was DeMarcus Ware, right? So those are the 3 guys since 2006 that weren't on that 30 visit list. So they're going to take one of these guys with their first round pick. And I think when you're looking at it from a plan standpoint, you're looking at, they're telling you, right? We're either looking at one of these offensive linemen.
Right.
Or we're going to take one of these wide receivers if they fall to us and we don't like what we have at the offensive line. I think they're probably also telling you, hey, we're okay with looking in the 2nd, 3rd round at offensive line if we like some of these guys, right? Maybe would have liked to seen, like a Ed Ingram from LSU on this list as well, another guard.
Yeah.
The stunner shades are always needed, Sweeta. Literally always. And it's not about need. It's not about need.
The people want to know.
People can ask all the questions about the stunner shades.
I agree with that first round wide receiver, interior lineman. That 2nd round looks like to me that we are going defensive line / linebacker.
Right. It's probably 2nd, 3rd round. You're kind of looking at saying, okay. And we kind of talked about that, right? We've looked at a little bit some of the defensive ends in the first round and just talked about how those guys aren't going to be there, right? Yeah. Obviously Thibodeau, Hutchinson not going to be there. Trayvon Walker not going to be there. Jermaine Johnson, which I couldn't care less, but not going to be there, right? What's his name? George Karlaftis is probably the only guy that you're looking at that maybe makes it to 24. But he's not even on this list. So again, if I'm looking at a plan standpoint from the Cowboys, they don't think that they're going to have a defensive end fall to them in the first round.
Right.
And the only other defensive lineman that might fall to them in the first round that they might consider drafting is Jordan Davis. Right. That's why he's the only guy on that list that's going to be a day 1 pick. So yeah, I think you're right on there. They're looking at, 2nd or 3rd round, kind of depending on what happens. I would guess if I was kind of stacking up their plan right now, I would say they're trying to get that offensive line help in the first round. Again, weird that there's not more receivers on this list in the middle rounds, but still probably looking receiver middle rounds, 2nd round, and then defensive end, tackle 3rd round.
Yeah.
That to me, that's probably the ideal scenario that they're drawing up here, with the option for a guy like Quay Walker or Devin Lloyd, like we talked about, right? If they fall in love with one of those tight ends, maybe they take, a Jeremy Ruckert in the 3rd round. I hope not, because I just think they have needs in other places. But
that's what I was about to say. I hope that they're just looking and saying the receivers that are in that are past that first round, we just feel comfortable with basically plugging any one of those guys in to our, really good offensive system and running with our quarterback, because we're just going to ask them to run across the middle and catch the ball, right? Like, I don't need them to be like super
Yeah, there's 10 wide receivers that I would
Right.
take and start over James Washington right now.
I hope that's what they're conveying to us there, not that they're, going to reach for a tight end. But, that's like I said, the 30 list isn't exhaustive, but it does give you a good insight to who they're picking. And like you said, the Cowboys track record on picking off that list is pretty high. So we're still looking at our first round pick. We just, don't know who that is yet.
Kenyan Green. I'm gonna write it up on the board back here at some point so that y'all know that I said it, a month in advance.
That's right.
Kenyan Green. I wish it was Zion Johnson. It's gonna be Kenyan Green.
But yeah, man, that's the 30 visit list. Pretty good pretty good vibes coming off that list. I think, while it's frustrating going through the offseason sometimes, because the Cowboys are not, really a splashy free agent, team, you kind of pivot into one of the strengths, especially over the last, 6-7, years, minus Taco. But you're looking at one of the things that we do pretty well is, draft and reload the team. So excited, like you said, April 28th draft coming up. We'll be here covering the first round, eating some barbecue, talking smack. Hopefully the other teams in the NFC East pick horribly and we get everything we want, because that's exactly what happens in draft season, right?
I'm trying to get Jermaine Johnson and Trevor Penning to NFC East teams and maybe a quarterback. I don't care which one. Just take one.
Yeah, just take
Please,
a quarterback.
Take one.
Yeah, man. But that's it. Y'all, subscribe to the show. Like, comment on the, anybody you'd like to see picked. Tell us if we're wrong. Tell us if we're right. Tell us anything. We love the interaction. But that's all I got for today, bro. What you got parting for the AFAB fam on the way out?
Nah, I got sausages coming off the grill, so I don't have anything.
Hey,
I'm good.
We got a reservation at the Pena house. That's what we got. Well, AFAB fam is good. Check out the Twitter handles at Watts Does Sports. Eli Pena at Anything for a Bit. We out.